past 75 years.
Welcome to ABC 4 News at 10. I'm Glenn Mills.
And I'm Emily Flores. We thank you for joining us. Tonight, a potential way to address the housing crisis. Salt Lake City looking at changing the requirements for building additional units on your property, known as accessory dwelling units, or ADUs.
These units include things like guest houses that people would be able to rent out. ABC 4's Courtney Johns live at the City County building in Salt Lake City tonight with a look at what changes could be coming. Courtney.
Yeah, that's right. The city is looking at adjusting its ordinance for detached ADUs in single-family zones, and that includes allowing them to be larger than originally proposed. That includes to be up to 1,000 square feet. Also, off-street parking requirements could be loosened, as well as if the owner of the property actually has to live on the property. Those against it bring up concerns over the impact it will have on already congested neighborhoods, as well as their property values, while those in favor say it could help address the housing crisis.
It feels unfair to be restricting adaptable, practical forms of simple housing that we really need right now. And
I feel like this is reverse redlining, where they're kind of excluding people who live in an upper end, or if not upper middle class neighborhood, and imposing the density that's associated with much lower class and much less amenable housing composition and so forth.
This is the first time that the public's been able to speak on this in a public hearing, talking about this ordinance, and City Council could vote on it as soon as the next meeting, which is coming up in 2 weeks. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Courtney Johns, ABC 4 News.
Courtney, thank you. Salt Lake City police charging a cyclist who they say assaulted a UTA bus driver back in December. 67-year-old Dirk Cowley says a bus mirror clipped his helmet when he was riding his bike. Cowley admitted to police he followed the bus to the next stop and started yelling at the driver. Witnesses say the bus driver got out to talk to him. That's when Cowley allegedly pushed the driver into a concrete wall. He fell and broke his femur. Cowley now facing assault charges.
And new developments in the Enoch murders, a search warrant revealing a disturbing search history found on Michael Haight's phone, possibly pointing to premeditated murder. Last month, Michael Haight shot and killed his wife, her mother, and their 5 kids before turning the gun on himself. According to a police search warrant, Haight's phone showed he searched Google with the question, "Can you hear a gunshot in a house?" He also researched how loud 9 and 40-millimeter guns were. The findings add weight to the notion that these killings were planned.
New at 10 overnight, Iron County search and rescue saving 2 people who got lost while snowmobiling. A man and woman were riding near Yankee Meadow and didn't know the area and got disoriented when it started to get dark and foggy. Search and rescue crews saying these 2, though, were prepared. They had food, water, flashlights, even a blanket. They even used gas from the snowmobile to help start a fire. Rescuers finding them safely. They're emphasizing just how important it is to be prepared when going on adventures.
All right, and speaking of adventures, let's head over for a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy, who is just back from quite the adventure today.
Seriously, just a few hours ago, you were ice fishing, Alana.
I was on the Wasatch Back. It was a great day to get out and do it, guys. We had those clear skies with high pressure and control. And while I may have missed the sunset in the valley, Mike Stringfellow caught it for me. This was a pretty one coming out of Bountiful, just a stunning pop of color there. We are seeing increasing clouds, and we will continue to see that as we get through the next several hours. Satellite radar shows those clouds ahead of our next week disturbance that will keep us pretty active as we roll into our Wednesday for a portion of the state. Sort of look like a Bryce Canyon today. Tell me that's not absolutely stunning. Clouds on the move, snow on the Red Rock. National Park Service putting that out there. Healthy snowpack. It's what we're seeing throughout the state. You saw it at Bryce Canyon. We saw it at Deer Creek Reservoir today, where we had more than 178% of average when it comes to that snowpack for the Provo River Basin. But statewide, we are very, very healthy. We have hit median snowpack, so we are in a good position, and we want these storms to continue to come in and benefit us when it comes to snowfall up there in the high country. Pretty shot from Deer Valley. Isn't that gorgeous? Temperatures right now near Bear Lake in the teens. We've got 20s in Ogden. Park City is cold, and we definitely see those temperatures falling into the 40s there in St. George. 20s right now in Moab. Now, we've got a storm system on the way, and that is why we will keep air quality at bay. We do see eastern Utah holding on to, over in Duchesne County, that unhealthy air for sensitive groups. impacts of this storm and what to expect as far as timing goes coming up in my full forecast. Emily, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Alana. President Biden calling for unity between Democrats and Republicans in his second State of the Union address to a joint session of Congress. Biden touting his accomplishments, including record job growth and cooling inflation numbers, also pointing to providing health care for veterans and passing the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which includes some gun control measures and mental health resources for minors. The president defending what he's calling American values and spoke about the importance of bipartisanship.
2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threat to the Civil War, and today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken. And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well.
President Biden will be in Wisconsin tomorrow, reinforcing tonight's message on how his economic plan has created jobs in the region.
Utah Senator Mike Lee and Governor Spencer Cox in the House chamber for the president's address tonight. They join us now from the nation's capital with their thoughts on the president's words. Gentlemen, thanks so much for making time for us tonight.
Thank you.
Let's get right into the speech. The president sounding optimistic as he talked about job creation, unemployment, infrastructure, and more. What were your thoughts as you were listening to the president tonight? Senator Lee, let's start with you.
Well, look, the president sounded a few notes that could have united and in some ways did. I think there were some missed opportunities as he's acknowledging the need to come together to find solutions to stop the scourge of illegal fentanyl. He failed to identify the source of that fentanyl, the fact that it's pouring through our increasingly porous southern border. It needs to be stopped. Nowhere did he acknowledge what needs to be done. I hope that he will in the coming days. He could have also brought the audience together, Democrats and Republicans, representatives and senators tonight, by talking about the debt ceiling and the fact that we need to raise it. We need to figure out reforms to make sure that we're not back in the same position just a few months after raising it again. He didn't. He instead chose to badly mischaracterize the policy positions of half the members of Congress, people right in front of him. Now, it's one thing if you're going to engage in good-spirited debate about a good faith policy disagreement. He didn't do that tonight. He repeatedly mischaracterized our positions, and it landed like a lead balloon.
Governor, you know the stakes in a situation like this, delivering your State of the State address just a couple of weeks ago. What did you think about what you heard from the Commander-in-Chief tonight?
Well, it was certainly very different. It's actually very different. It's the first time I've been in the gallery. I so appreciate Senator Lee and his kind invitation. And it was actually harder to hear. So there were portions of the speech that we couldn't hear up there anytime he talked over some of the applause lines. So that was very different. But look, it is very different. As a governor, I have to balance the budget every year, working with our legislature to do that. Obviously, there was a lot of tax and spend talk going on when we're actually cutting taxes and doing some amazing things in the state. So there were some areas of agreement we certainly saw around social media, something we're focused on. And I know Congressman Stewart is running a bill. It looked like we had bipartisan support for that issue. So a few bipartisan issues, but mostly more of a divisive tone.
Senator, I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet, but there was a moment the camera caught your face, clearly disagreeing with what the president was saying. You were also active on your personal Twitter account during this speech. Give us an idea of what was going through your mind during those moments.
What was going through my mind was a reaction of absolute incredulity. Look, this is my 13th State of the Union as a U.S. Senator. I sat through these with a Republican and with the two different Democrats in the White House. I've never seen a president show up and so badly mischaracterize the other party's positions. We've seen good-spirited debate before, but not this. I was very disappointed and discouraged, and I'm also very concerned. I think the president's team has put him in a position to fail. I think they prepared remarks ill-suited for the moment, and the president's not at his best right now. And sadly, he wasn't in a position to see that and to decide not to give remarks that everyone else would have known and that the White House staff should have known would have ended so badly.
Governor, back to your State of the State address. You were very optimistic about where we stand as a state. We are Utahns. We are also Americans. Are you as optimistic about where we are as far as trajectory as a country?
Well, a little less optimistic as far as trajectory, but again, I do believe in the people of our country, and I know Senator Lee does as well. And it's that optimism that there are better days ahead. If there were any parts that I think resonated positively, it was that American exceptionalism piece that he started with. I wish we would have heard more of that throughout, because we are the greatest nation in the world, and that's where there is agreement. There are opportunities for us to do really important things like immigration reform, but you have to secure the border, and we didn't hear as much talk about that as we should have heard. And those, I think, were missed opportunities. But I always believe in the American people and our ability to come through even the most difficult of times.
Senator Mike Lee and Governor Spencer Cox on the State of the Union address tonight. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right, and back here at home, a bill that could mean major changes for how domestic violence calls are handled by police passed a House committee today. Senate Bill 117 would require officers to conduct a lethality assessment when responding to domestic violence reports. Last week, the bill passed unanimously in the Senate, with the parents of Gabby Petito present to show their support. Before the hearing, a conference was held for those advocating for the bill to pass.
We can't completely eliminate domestic violence. It is not, while we would like to, it is just not realistic. It is going to happen. However, our response to it is what is going to matter.
A third substitute of SB 117 will now head to the House floor. If it gets passed there, it goes back to the Senate for concurrence.
Coming up, the Davis School District opening its 6th resource center for teenagers. What this means for teens in need and how it was funded.
And this is what it looked like out at the Great Salt Lake today. Great shot by Brian Whiteleather. That high pressure bringing in our clear conditions. That's changing as we roll into our Wednesday. I'll explain why coming up in Utah's most accurate forecast.
And what's news to you matters to us. Report breaking news or share your story tips with us. You can contact us on the ABC4 News tip line, online at abc4.com/tipline, or call